Parliament erupts. Ministers' troubling past exposed while Carney Liberals watch in stunned silence. Parliament was rocked this week when Conservative MP Raquel Dancho revealed a disturbing report about newly appointed Minister for Northern and Arctic Affairs, Rebecca Chartrand. The report, verified by an independent law firm, detailed how Chartrand had engaged in months of harassment and intimidation against a subordinate at a Manitoba college. The findings weren't speculative. They were formally documented and credible. Despite this, Prime Minister Mark Carney's government not only ignored the red flags, but rewarded her with a cabinet position, prompting immediate outrage and stunned silence in the House. This revelation has raised serious concerns about the Liberal government's vetting process. Canadians expect cabinet ministers to meet the highest standards of integrity and professionalism. The fact that someone with a confirmed history of bullying was elevated to a senior role undermines public trust. The Carney Liberals' response to the scandal, generic appeals to respect and compassion, did little to reassure anyone. There was no commitment to reevaluate the appointment or acknowledge the gravity of the misconduct. This silence is not just political, it's moral failure. Adding fuel to the fire, the Minister of Public Safety is refusing to open an inquiry into the controversial prison transfer of serial killer Paul Bernardo. His move from maximum to medium security shocked victims' families and the wider public. Conservative MP Frank Caputo repeatedly asked the minister in Parliament to take action. The minister passed responsibility to correctional services, despite having the authority to call for a review. In fact, his predecessor had used this very power. The refusal to act has left Canadians wondering, why the secrecy? Why the silence? While these scandals unfold, new polling from Spark and Nanos shows the Liberals and Conservatives in a dead heat, both hovering around 40 to 41%, with the NDP trailing far behind at 8%. The projected seat counts suggest another Liberal minority, though Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives have surged in rural and suburban areas, especially in Ontario and Alberta. The electorate appears more polarized than ever. For Carney, maintaining the status quo might no longer be enough. Voters are increasingly demanding leadership that is both accountable and courageous. Yet, rather than address these pressing issues, Carney's team continues to focus on optics. A recent social media post from the Prime Minister touted his plan to make Ottawa safer. But what does that even mean? The city has seen a rise in violent incidents over the past year, and vague slogans offer little comfort to citizens demanding action. As one user replied, "Hashtags don't protect people. Plans do." It's a fair critique. In a time of uncertainty, the public wants concrete proposals, not digital spin. Elsewhere in Carney's cabinet, Melanie Joly faced her own moment of embarrassment. When asked about ongoing trade negotiations, she deflected, refusing to confirm whether Canada was even in formal talks. While it's true that negotiations often happen behind closed doors, Joly's performance has been consistently underwhelming. Her track record, whether in foreign affairs or heritage, has been marked by missteps and vague messaging. Her inability to articulate a position left viewers with more questions than answers, once again reinforcing the perception of Liberal disarray. The legislative front has also stirred concern. Bill C-2, a proposed law under Carney's government, would allow federal agencies to install tracking software on personal devices and access private mail. Civil liberty groups have sounded the alarm, warning that such powers go far beyond what's necessary for public safety. There's a growing fear that the government is targeting the wrong people, ordinary citizens, while systemic threats go unchallenged. Canadians are not against national security, but they expect transparency, oversight, and respect for rights. Bill C-3 is equally controversial. It proposes automatic eligibility for extended family immigration after just 3 years of residency. Critics say it eliminates key vetting steps and could strain social services, particularly in large urban centers already grappling with housing and healthcare pressures. Immigration remains a pillar of Canadian identity, but its management requires balance, responsibility, and public confidence. Policy changes of this scale deserve serious debate, not rushed rollouts based on ideological objectives. Beyond policy, public trust is eroding because of a growing sense that the system isn't working for everyday Canadians. Housing is now one of the biggest flashpoints. A CTV News investigation found several landlords have been victimized by professional tenants, people who know how to exploit legal loopholes to avoid paying rent. Some landlords are owed tens of thousands of dollars and can evict non-paying tenants due to prolonged legal delays. These cases highlight a justice system tilted against small property owners, who are now calling for urgent reform. Amid these economic pressures, the Liberals continue to offer top-down control measures instead of addressing the roots of the problem. Rather than fixing flawed tenancy laws or prioritizing rental disputes, the focus appears to be on expanding federal influence over areas best left to provinces. This approach is only intensifying frustration, particularly in communities already stretched thin by rising costs, limited housing, and long healthcare wait times. For many, the government's answers feel more like deflections. Pierre Poilievre has capitalized on this sentiment, positioning himself as the voice of common sense and working Canadians. His messaging has focused on cutting red tape, restoring balance to immigration, and standing up for victims of crime. While critics argue that his proposals lack nuance, there's no denying he's tapping into real frustration. With an energized base and growing support among middle-income voters, Poilievre is shaping the national debate in ways the Liberals are struggling to counter. Meanwhile, Mark Carney, despite his international pedigree, faces challenges at home. His leadership style, which some describe as technocratic, has yet to resonate with Canadians beyond urban elites. While he projects calm competence, his government's handling of scandals, legislative overreach, and cabinet gaffes raises doubts about whether that competence is translating into real results. Canadians don't just want a resume. They want responsiveness, humility, and results. As the next election draws closer, the divide between the two major parties is becoming more philosophical than procedural. It's no longer just about who can manage the economy, but about whose vision of Canada aligns with the public's hopes and concerns. And unless Carney can restore faith in his leadership and take control of his cabinet, he may find that stunned silence in Parliament is only the beginning of his political reckoning.